Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Alors, j'aurais volontiers parlé en français, mais pour que le dialogue avec nos invités soit plus fluide, je vais poursuivre en anglais. So, well, I'll switch to English. Well, first of all, I must say that I'm very honored to be moderating this session, which will discuss policies that have been and are being developed worldwide to promote diamond open access. Well, we all know how crucial it is to develop policies at national and regional level, and how by sharing experiences, we must contribute to build this robust framework we call for at the global level, to strengthen operational capacities and ensure the sustainability of the diamond model. Well, I would like now to introduce our invited speaker, and I think we'll start with Michael Arentoft is online. Please, is it okay? Good. Well, I would say good evening, Michael. And I would like warmly to thank you, because as it must be past midnight in Brussels, I think. So thanks a lot to stay with us. And so without waiting, I would like to give you the floor, Michael.
Thank you so much. Yes, indeed, it's past midnight. I would like to share my screen. I have a few slides to show, so I hope you can see it. Will you confirm that you can see my slides?
We do.
Very good, very good. So thank you very much again for inviting me to participate in the session. I'm very happy that I'm able to present the EU policy development perspective for how we can strengthen diamond open access publishing. I think the overall timing of this conference is very good. We see a very clear momentum to work in the direction of a scholarly communication system that enables the publishing of high quality research outcomes, a system which is transparent and open, one which is much more equitable and affordable to all participating parties. And last but not least, very importantly, a scholarly communication system that really places the researcher at its center, and also one that increases the role of research institutions with a public mission, which was also mentioned in the last session, a system which is really trustworthy across. The themes of the conference, so equity, sustainability, quality, usability, and all the range of issues around diamond open access in general, it resonates very well with the directions that our policy in the EU has taken over the last, let me say, 2 to 3 years. The most recent conclusions of the Council of Research Ministers of the 27 countries of the EU, this was conclusions that were issued in May this year, I think is a very strong testament to this. It displays all the keywords, as you can see, and it encourages a way forward, both in terms of the framework conditions that are necessary for scholarly publishing to change, and also in terms of building capacities. The EU has, I believe, really been at the forefront of policy relevant to open access, or more broadly, policies relevant to open science. We see EU member states updating their national open access policies and guidelines. We see legislation at EU level aiming to remove barriers to access and reuse of publicly funded research results. And of course, we have also launched a stakeholder-driven initiative for accelerating reforms of research assessment. And I should also mention, it's not on this slide, but of course, in our EU-level research program, open access has been a core requirement since 2007, 2008. And this has been expanded to open science being the modus operandi of research funded under our current Horizon Europe program. Back in 2012, we issued a number of recommendations to our member states for access to and preservation of scientific information. It's a recommendation that we updated in 2018 to cover all the different policy streams that we had on the radar at the time, and I would say has now become even more critical to pursue. So not only open access to publications, but also increasingly research data management, data sharing infrastructures, the development of open science skills, research evaluation. So this was updated 5 years ago, and of course more have come on our radar. Another important framework condition for the evolution of scholarly publishing system is the regulatory framework for copyright, for data, for digital, so the digital legislation as well. So what we're doing now on this front in Europe is that we are deepening our analysis of research provisions on the various legislative acts to get even more evidence of the concrete effects of these legal acts on research. So, for instance, what rights can I as a researcher benefit from? What obligations do I have to respect? What limits are there for TDM, for text and data mining, depending on the purpose of the analysis, who does it, and many, many other questions that researchers are asking themselves every day. And of course, they have at all time to respect the legislation in place, but both in terms of the benefits that they give, but also in terms of course, the obligations that have to be respected. The third framework condition, which we are pursuing, is, and this has been addressed also in previous sessions I have heard, is how researchers and research organizations are assessed. So with the initiative that we started pushing now 3 years ago, we wanted to move away from the culture which is dominated by a race to secure as many publications as possible in prestigious journals. We want to move to a system that recognizes a much broader diversity of research outputs and activities, and then reward all those that lead to higher quality and impact of research. So we scoped it back in 21. With stakeholders, we drew up an agreement. We established a coalition to experiment with reforms of research assessment and to learn from each other what works and what doesn't work. The second group of actions that our research ministers encouraged was around capacity building, both in terms of infrastructures and in terms of skills. Overall, what they were pushing was a rebalancing of the support so that much more is dedicated for not-for-profit open access scholarly publishing models. Continuous support for piloting of the Open Research Europe publishing service, and also for exploring how it could be expanded into a collective publishing service by including more research funders and other stakeholders that would be interested in such a collective endeavor. And in terms of skills development, this was about pushing to raise knowledge, to have more mutual learning on issues such as peer review, the value of IPRs, predatory publishing, ethical publishing. Now, in all our work, of course, we are working very closely with many of you. It's shaped really, I would say, by close dialogue, close collaboration with a range of different actors, partners in Europe and indeed across the world. So just as an indication, you see on this slide that we are discussing with funders, with research institutes, with other countries, with international organizations. So we also support important initiatives for the EU and a broader alignment, empowering of not-for-profit publishing activities. The way we see this is that we have our part of this broader ecosystem of diamond-like publishing models within which they all interoperate, and the direction we are taking, if I have to say two keywords here, it's really about enriching, it's about diversifying the publishing landscape. So you see here, it's about supporting capacity building in the Diamonds project. It's about supporting technical interoperability in Craft OA, and you see other very important influencers and collaborators that I've put on this slide. Now, 2.5 years ago, we launched our own publishing platform, Open Research Europe, and our intention here was really to walk the talk, both in terms of innovating scholarly communication, improving scholarly communication. So it's all about pushing forward a communication, a scholarly publishing system, which gives immediate and unrestricted open access, which provides early and open sharing of publications, but also other research contributions, which provides quality standards for pre-publication checks. And at the center of that, there is the post-publication open peer review model. And of course, the advantage for the beneficiaries of our program is that there is an automatic compliance with the open access requirements in our program. Now, as I said, 2.5 years after we launched it, we have now close to 500 publications in the service, more than 900 peer reviews, of course, all in open access. So Aura, in short, it's a platform which is initiated by a research funder, by us. It's supported by us as well, for the public good. Listening also to the last session, indeed, viewing science as a public good. And I think the comment also on quality as a public good was a very good remark. So from our side, we also in the system, very important, continue to place an emphasis on a strong involvement of the research community, and really with the ambition of creating an environment where research communities can find their home. So making it very attractive to the different research communities. So as I said, we have been invited by the research ministers across Europe to see to which extent we can make Aura a more collective endeavor. So with other research funders, we are exploring how we can contribute to shape this future path of Aura. We want, of course, to guarantee top quality services. We want a system collectively driven by the funders and by research institutions for researchers. It should not, of course, burden authors with fees. And behind the scene, very importantly, it has to be cost efficient, and we have not to be locked in to a specific underlying IT infrastructure. And this will be my last slide. I wanted to put up the basis, the principles on which we want the Open Research Europe publishing platform to operate in the future, mainly drawing inspiration from an expert group that we commissioned back in 2019. So to a large extent, these are principles that we have revisited from that time. We have combined some of them. We have added one, the last one, accountability to the research community and the public. So again, it highlights that it's really aiming at a system for the researchers, aiming at a system that views science as a public good. So with that, I will stop my initial presentation, and thank you very much, and hand the floor back to you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot, Michael. You said placing the researcher as in center, and I think it's exactly what Diamond Ups diamond open access is about. Well, now I will give the floor to Karina Batthyany, who is Executive Secretary of CLACSO. Please. Yeah, that's
Gracias. Buenas tardes para todos y todas. Nuevamente queremos desde CLACSO, el Consejo Latinoamericano de Ciencias Sociales, agradecer la invitación y la posibilidad de estar en este panel para compartir información sobre nuestra región y para pensar algunas prioridades para impulsar el acceso abierto diamante mediante la cooperación internacional. Por supuesto, saludo también a los integrantes de este panel. Como dijimos en la apertura, parece hace muchos días, pero no es tan así, como dijimos en la apertura de esta cumbre, estamos en una región en América Latina y el Caribe donde la investigación y la comunicación científica en general se financian principalmente con fondos públicos y es desde ahí que reflexionamos y proponemos políticas. Desde esa financiación principalmente con fondos públicos y desde una visión de la ciencia y el conocimiento científico como un bien común, como un bien público y como parte también del derecho a la ciencia. Las leyes y las políticas nacionales en relación al acceso abierto y a la ciencia abierta que se han ido aprobando en la región, como el caso de Argentina en 2013, México en 2014, Colombia en 2022, Perú, como lo mencionaba hoy Nicolás Lynch más temprano, aunque no se estén implementando, pero la ley está, exigen el acceso abierto a la producción científica financiada con fondos públicos y priorizan los repositorios para la publicación y el acceso a los resultados de investigaciones, sean en formato publicaciones o en formato datos de investigación. Dijimos también, y lo volvemos a reiterar, es la región del mundo con el porcentaje más alto de revistas publicadas en acceso abierto diamante. Revistas que son propiedad de la comunidad académica sin ninguna tercerización comercial para su gestión, lo que implica un esfuerzo realmente muy grande y un compromiso enorme de quienes realizamos investigación en la región y de quienes trabajan en bibliotecas y en equipos editoriales, en las universidades y en las otras instituciones de investigación. Esfuerzo para cuidar la calidad de las revistas y de los libros, para organizar la revisión por pares de los contenidos y para gestionar las infraestructuras necesarias para la difusión de las publicaciones en acceso abierto, de acuerdo siempre a estándares internacionales de calidad. Es clave en América Latina y el Caribe el rol de los organismos nacionales de ciencia y tecnología y de las universidades en el financiamiento. En el financiamiento de todas estas iniciativas, también en su implementación y en la gestión de las comunicaciones científicas como un bien común. Por supuesto que ya se han mencionado, y no me voy a detener allí, las iniciativas regionales como Latindex, Redalyc, Cielo, la referencia a nivel de repositorios y los ejemplos a nivel de algunas universidades públicas en los distintos países de América Latina y el Caribe. Desde CLACSO, desde nuestro Consejo Latinoamericano, en nuestro repositorio de Ciencias Sociales y Humanidades y en el catálogo editorial tenemos más de 4.000 libros en modelo diamante y recibimos millones, pero realmente millones de consultas de textos completos sin restricciones, que son descargados sin ningún tipo de restricción desde nuestro repositorio y biblioteca digital. Por eso también desde CLACSO promovemos el acceso abierto con modelos no comerciales gestionados por la misma comunidad de acuerdo a los principios que declaramos en 2015 en la Declaración de CLACSO sobre acceso abierto al conocimiento gestionado como un bien común. Y defendemos esta posición ante la comunidad internacional donde se debate el futuro de las comunicaciones científicas. Vemos con mucha preocupación el avance de propuestas a nivel internacional de cambiar el modelo. ¿Tengo que callarme? ¿No? ¿No? Continúo. Bien. Pensé que era una alerta de algo. Continúo. Vemos con mucha preocupación el avance de propuestas internacionales de cambiar el modelo pagar por leer, las suscripciones, por el modelo pagar por publicar en acceso abierto, tanto a nivel de revistas como a nivel de libros. Por eso creemos que hay algunas prioridades para impulsar el acceso abierto diamante por medio de la cooperación internacional. En primer lugar, y como ya dijimos también en otras mesas, cambiar la evaluación para adecuarla a los contextos de la ciencia abierta. Creemos que no hay futuro para el acceso abierto diamante si no se avanza decisivamente en cambiar los sistemas de evaluación para que se valore adecuadamente lo publicado en el circuito diamante de calidad, que por supuesto incluye la revisión por pares. Hoy los sistemas de evaluación priorizan publicar en inglés, en revistas del circuito principal, que tienen sus propias agendas de investigación y que reflejan de manera muy pobre la diversidad de idiomas, de agendas, de temáticas y de instituciones para las regiones menos privilegiadas. Es por eso que en CLACSO, desde el Foro Latinoamericano de Evaluación Científica, desde el FOLEC, en la declaración Una nueva evaluación académica y científica para una ciencia con relevancia social en América Latina y el Caribe, destacamos que resulta fundamental recuperar el control de la comunidad académica y científica sobre los procesos de evaluación y sobre los indicadores de esa evaluación, y que los indicadores de producción publicada a ser utilizadas en estos procesos de evaluación deben incluir indicadores de los servicios regionales e internacionales de indización de revistas de calidad, Latindex Catálogo, Redalyc, Cielo, DOAG, entre otros, así como también índices nacionales de revistas de calidad para contrarrestar los indicadores de Web of Science y de Scopus. Asimismo, en esa declaración enfatizamos la necesidad de valorar adecuadamente el multilingüismo, que favorece el desarrollo y la difusión de investigaciones socialmente relevantes y contemplar en los procesos de evaluación de los investigadores y las investigadoras también la tarea que todos y todas cumplimos de revisión por pares como parte de las actividades de quienes hacemos investigación y como un aporte relevante a la comunidad científica y académica. Desde CLACSO hemos contribuido en este debate sobre la nueva política en la región, contribuido concretamente, trabajando, por ejemplo, en los casos de Colombia y Argentina, en los comités asesores de los organismos y ministerios de ciencia para poder incluir estos temas que acabo de explicar en las leyes, en las políticas y en los procesos concretos que se implementan. El segundo punto, además de este primero, ¿verdad?, vinculado a cambiar la evaluación, el segundo punto tiene que ver con incrementar el financiamiento para la infraestructura y los servicios que beneficien el acceso abierto diamante. Creo que el punto se explica por sí solo, o sea que no me voy a detener allí. Queda muy claro que es lo que estamos planteando en este segundo punto. El tercero, vinculado obviamente al anterior, es aumentar la cooperación internacional en relación al acceso abierto diamante. Cooperación que no puede ser de cualquier manera. Cooperación con la participación de iniciativas de todas las regiones desde el comienzo, desde el momento del diseño y de la búsqueda de los financiamientos para las propuestas globales, considerando las necesidades y las posibilidades de las regiones que se van a convocar para que los planes de acción conjunta sean realistas y sean sostenibles en el tiempo en los contextos diversos que tenemos que contemplar. Vemos con mucha preocupación proyectos que nacen como iniciativas regionales y buscan globalizarse, pero no incluyen en su diseño inicial y en la gestión a protagonistas de las regiones involucradas. Solo están quizás como asesores, pero no como decisores. Y es en las decisiones donde hay que evitar acciones que sean excluyentes y promover acciones que incluyan diversidad de posibilidades de implementación. Lo que es un costo razonable para un país para aumentar la calidad de sus revistas Diamante, por ejemplo, puede ser un costo imposible de afrontar para otro país o institución donde todo lo que necesita una revista Diamante para mejorar tiene que cubrirlo con los recursos disponibles en la misma universidad o institución pública. Debemos estar atentos para que en el proceso de mejorar la calidad del modelo Diamante no encarezcamos tanto el cumplimiento de los requisitos para ser parte del acceso abierto Diamante, que poco a poco vayan quedando excluidas revistas y otras publicaciones valiosas que contribuyen a conocer y a atender realidades locales. Finalmente, desde CLACSO vemos el modelo Diamante como un instrumento para avanzar hacia una ciencia abierta, liderada por la comunidad, expresada en formatos multilingües y bibliodiversos, tanto en revistas como en repositorios, que tampoco cobran por leer y por publicar en abierto, tanto textos como datos de investigación. Muchos son los temas entonces que podemos compartir y aprender unos de otros en un contexto, eso sí, de equidad en los proyectos globales que se diseñen para mejorar el acceso abierto Diamante a nivel global. Muchas gracias.
Well, thanks a lot, Karina. And, well, I think, yes, you said cooperation does not mean not taking into account diversity, of course. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I don't know, maybe we can, if someone has quick questions to our two first speakers, maybe there? No? So, okay, so, well, there is one, maybe. A quick questions to our two first speakers, and then we go on.
It works? Okay.
Yes,
I have a question about Open Research Europe. Do you think it should be recognized in national research evaluation systems, like the, for example, very important journals? Or is there like a kind of a policy intended so that the national governments recognize in a way Open Research Europe as a relevant source of publication? Thank you.
Michael, did you hear the question?
I apologize, there was no translation online.
It was.
I can repeat the question.
Yeah,
please.
quick.
The question was, do you think Open Research Europe should be recognized in research evaluation systems of the countries, if it should be recognized as a publishing source, just like very important research journals, so that the researchers who publish on Open Research Europe get their contributions recognized as if they were publishing in recognized prestigious journals? Thank you.
Well, first of all, of course, we're not looking for any kind of impact factor. I don't think it should be singled out. What matters at the end of the day is the quality and the potential impact of what is published. So no, I don't think that Open Research Europe should be singled out. It should be recognized as one of the publishing venues, and we know that at least in one country in Europe, this is not the case today. But we are not as such looking for obviously any kind of significance of the impact in terms of a GIF as such.
Okay, thank you, Michael. So now we'll go on with our third speaker, Marin Dacos, National Open Science Coordinator, the French Ministry of Higher Education and Research. Please, Marin.
Thank you very much. So, je vais peut-être parler en français aujourd'hui, parce qu'on m'a reproché d'avoir parlé en anglais lundi. Donc, je peux parler en français. Je veux bien qu'on m'aide avec mes diapositives quand même, malgré tout. Et donc, l'idée, ce qu'on m'a demandé, c'est de présenter les efforts réalisés par la France en faveur du développement du diamant. Donc, j'ai beaucoup de choses à dire sur le plan national pour la science ouverte qui ne couvre pas les diamants, les données, les logiciels, les prix sciences ouvertes, la reconnaissance, l'évaluation, etc. Mais je ne parlerai pas de ça, puisque ce n'est pas le sujet d'aujourd'hui. Donc, je me focalise uniquement sur les actions en faveur du diamant. Et dès qu'on me donne la main, mais je peux parler sans, cela dit, hein, je peux improviser aussi, mais je vous rappelle, comme je l'ai dit lundi lors de l'opening ceremony, dans le plan national pour la science ouverte, il y a un engagement de soutenir le développement. Merci beaucoup. Voilà. Donc, il y a un engagement de soutenir le développement de modèles de publication qui ne demandent pas le paiement de frais de publication, ce qu'on appelle le modèle diamant. Pour présenter la façon dont on essaye d'arriver à développer ces secteurs qui existent déjà en fait depuis longtemps, qui n'avaient pas ce nom. C'est un nouvel objet politique, mais ce n'est pas un nouvel objet technique. Ça fait 20 ans qu'on fait du diamant sans le savoir. On a mis en place, on s'appuie sur deux grands instruments. Le premier, c'est la feuille de route des infrastructures nationales de recherche qui est pilotée par le Haut Conseil aux infrastructures de recherche, et puis qui est un dispositif qui n'est pas spécifique au plan sciences ouvertes. Et puis le plan national pour la science ouverte a créé le Fonds national pour la science ouverte qui est gouverné, piloté par le Comité pour la science ouverte que nous avons créé et qui est l'instance de gouvernance de la science ouverte en France. Alors juste un mot, une diapositive seulement sur cette stratégie nationale des infrastructures de recherche, parce que c'est relativement important à nos yeux, en particulier pour le diamant. Cette stratégie nationale, elle est renouvelée tous les 5 ans, elle permet de labelliser et de financer des infrastructures de très haut niveau qui sont définies comme étant des dispositifs, des ressources ou des services qui sont uniques, soit au niveau national, soit au niveau européen, soit au niveau mondial, afin de pouvoir mener des recherches au plus haut niveau. Elles sont prestigieuses, elles sont bien financées, et il y a une décision politique forte qui a été prise, même avant la création du plan national pour la science ouverte, qui est d'intégrer dans une catégorie dédiée qui est information scientifique, des infrastructures dédiées à la science ouverte ou à la communication scientifique. Donc ça, c'est très important parce que ça permet de dire qu'il y a des infrastructures de recherche, pas seulement des flottes de bateaux, des flottes pour observer les océans, des flottes d'avions pour observer l'atmosphère ou des synchrotrons, qui sont toutes des légitimes et magnifiques, ou des stations polaires, qui sont toutes des magnifiques infrastructures de recherche. Mais il y a aussi des infrastructures de recherche qui diffusent la connaissance, qui produisent de la science ouverte. Et Et ça, c'est un choix politique que je voulais partager avec vous. On a par exemple Software Heritage, qui est l'archive mondiale de tous les logiciels du monde qui est développé par la France et par l'UNESCO, qui est dans cette catégorie. Il y a HAL, qui est l'archive nationale dont tout le monde a parlé. Il y a Percé, qui est une initiative majeure de numérisation patrimoniale de revues, etc. Ici, je vais focaliser simplement sur une infrastructure qui est spécialisée dans l'édition diamant, qui s'appelle Open Edition, qui est dans la feuille de route nationale, l'infrastructure dédiée à l'édition en accès ouvert diamant, et qui a une deuxième originalité, c'est qu'elle a un chapeau ou une prolongation sous le nom d'Opéra, qui est un des co-organisateurs de cet événement, en tant qu'infrastructure européenne, qui a été reconnue actuellement sous un statut intermédiaire dans la feuille de route européenne qui s'appelle ESFRI, qui est l'équivalent de la feuille de route nationale pour les infrastructures de recherche nationales françaises. Donc tout ça pour vous dire que ces infrastructures-là ne seront pas rachetées demain par un grand groupe, parce qu'elles ne sont pas rachetables, parce que d'un point de vue juridique, elles sont à l'intérieur de l'État et elles n'en sortiront pas. Alors, maintenant, je vais entrer un peu dans le détail des actions du plan national pour la science ouverte, et en particulier l'action du plan national pour la science ouverte, parce qu'il y a souvent une difficulté entre l'intention politique et la mise en œuvre qui est toujours très délicate. Parfois, on ne sait pas quel est le chemin qu'il faut prendre, et parfois, on sait le chemin qu'il faut prendre, mais on n'a pas l'argent ou le fléchage de l'argent suffisant, ne serait-ce que parce que souvent, on sait financer de la recherche, mais pas trop l'accompagnement de la recherche. Et ce n'est pas toujours facile de trouver les canaux, les voies et moyens, comme on dit en bon français. Le Fonds national pour la science ouverte a été créé pour ça. Il a notamment des actions de financement de l'édition scientifique. Les objectifs du fonds sont très clairs, ils sont explicites, ils sont rendus publics. C'est d'abord de promouvoir la transition vers l'open access, puisqu'il y a évidemment beaucoup de revues qui ne sont encore pas en accès ouvert et qu'on doit accompagner vers l'accès ouvert. Renforcer et structurer les capacités de publication en accès ouvert et encourager l'alignement vers les plus hautes qualités de standards. Promouvoir la diversité des modèles de financement pour l'open access et rééquilibrer en faveur du modèle diamant, parce que vous avez compris, on en a parlé tout à l'heure avec l'ANR, le péché originel, il ne date pas d'il y a 5 ans, ça date d'il y a 15 ans qu'un certain nombre d'agences de financement, et nous n'étions pas autour de la table quand la décision a été prise, qu'un certain nombre d'agences de financement, notamment européennes, ont décidé de rendre éligibles les coûts de dépenses de frais de publication. Si ça n'avait pas été fait, on ne serait pas du tout dans la même situation. Mais on est dans cette situation, donc on constate qu'il y a beaucoup de frais de publication. Et donc on doit rééquilibrer en faveur d'un autre modèle, qui est celui qui est le diamant. On veut aussi promouvoir le continuum entre les publications, les données et le code, ce qui est un élément essentiel. J'ai introduit mon intervention en insistant sur le fait que la science ouverte et le plan science ouverte, ce n'était pas que les publications. Et donc j'insiste ici sur ce dispositif-là qui est favorable à la reproductibilité, à la réutilisation, à l'intégrité scientifique, etc. Et c'est le principe suivant. Le fonds a pour objectif de favoriser la reproductibilité ou la traçabilité des approches scientifiques et de développer l'intégrité scientifique. Et puis, il doit aussi combattre ce qu'on appelle le biais de publication, le publication bias, qui est la tentation de ne publier que des résultats positifs, notamment dans le domaine des études en santé, ce dont je n'entends pas assez parler ici, donc je me permets de vous le dire, c'est un problème très grave et il faut qu'on s'y attelle tous ensemble. Le Fonds national pour la science ouverte finance pour l'édition 3 types de projets d'édition. Des gros projets qu'on appelle les infrastructures de recherche, dont je vous ai parlé, des grands projets de publication qui sont en fait des structures éditoriales, des maisons d'édition, et puis des petites initiatives d'édition qui sont à l'échelle d'une revue. Donc on est capable d'adresser ces 3 types de besoins, les 3 étant absolument essentiels. En 3 appels à projets depuis 2018, on a dépensé 7 millions d'euros et on a attribué cet argent à 68 projets différents, français et étrangers notamment. Donc ça, c'est notre contribution économique au niveau national au développement du diamant, sachant que, bien entendu, on a toujours dit qu'on n'était pas disposé à être les seuls financeurs et que donc, si l'Université de Lyon 2 candidate avec une revue, on ne comprendrait pas qu'elle ne candidate pas en apportant des moyens elle-même. Et donc le fonds essaie de doubler la mise et pas de couvrir et de se substituer aux établissements en aucun cas, parce qu'ensuite le fonds a vocation à se retirer et c'est à l'établissement de prendre la suite. Pour arriver à prendre les décisions nécessaires à attribuer à tel projet et pas à tel projet, on a défini un ensemble de critères, des critères de bonnes pratiques et d'exemplarité, qui sont inspirés de deux grands jeux d'éléments. Premièrement, les principes POSIX, sur lesquels je vais revenir, et on s'est aussi inspiré des critères de SCOS, dont je parlerai aussi. Donc les principes POSIX, c'est les principes des Open Scholarly Infrastructures, que je ne vais pas détailler ici, mais qui sont essentiels, puisqu'ils ont été conçus notamment pour empêcher l'appropriation privative par un seul acteur d'un dispositif qu'on considère comme étant un bien commun. Donc nous exigeons des projets qui candidatent qu'ils obéissent à ces critères-là, que nous n'avons pas définis, mais que nous avons adoptés. Je vais maintenant vous montrer quelques exemples de projets qu'on a soutenus, parce que pour le moment, j'ai fait beaucoup de bureaucratie, de comitologie, etc. Je vous ai parlé de millions. Mais concrètement, on a financé le Centre Mersenne, qui, à Grenoble, développe un portail pour des revues, notamment en mathématiques et en STEM, et pour l'Académie des sciences notamment, etc. On a aussi financé Epicence, qui est la branche Overlay Journals de Halle, qui est un très très bon projet, et donc qui a été financé par le fonds également. On a ici financé un projet étranger qui s'appelle SciPost, qui héberge plusieurs revues en sciences techniques médecine également. Et enfin, le très beau projet français qui s'appelle Peer Community In, que certains d'entre vous connaissent sans doute, qui est aussi une forme d'Overlay Journal, et dont en fait, toute une gamme de revues. Je vous encourage à aller voir tous ces projets parce qu'ils le méritent. On les a aidés, mais c'est parce qu'ils sont excellents. C'est pas nous qui les avons rendus bons, on nous a juste aidés à leur développement. Et puis aussi, on a pris une décision très forte qui est de dire que le Fonds national devait supporter, contribuer à l'échelle également internationale. Et ça, c'est très difficile parce que ce que je vous ai présenté, c'est essentiellement du financement de projets nationaux. Et on a une difficulté qui est ce que j'appelle le passager clandestin. Nous utilisons tous les jours des infrastructures de sciences ouvertes en tant que passager clandestin, c'est-à-dire nous contribuons à son usage parce qu'on télécharge, on communique, on mobilise les utilisateurs, les employés, mais on ne finance pas. Et comme on est dans un modèle non commercial, il n'y a évidemment pas de système de péage, c'est normal. Mais il y a du coup un problème, c'est qu'on utilise quelque chose, et plus on l'utilise, plus on le met en danger, puisque plus il est utilisé, plus il coûte cher. Et comment est-ce qu'on contribue à son fonctionnement? C'est le cas pour Archive, c'est le cas pour Redalyc, c'est le cas pour plein d'autres projets qui ne sont pas dans notre pays, mais que nous utilisons comme passager clandestin d'un point de vue économique. Alors on s'est dit, on va utiliser SCOS et on va soutenir des projets qui nous semblent contribuer au diamant ou à un écosystème diamant essentiel, en France et surtout à l'étranger, grâce au programme de labellisation et de soutien qu'est SCOS. Donc on a soutenu Open Citations, italo-anglais, PKP, qui est canadien, DOAJ, qui est actuellement en Angleterre, n'est-ce pas? Le DOAB, qui est aux Pays-Bas et en France, Archive, qui est aux États-Unis, Redalyc America et la Referenza, vous savez où ils sont, Registry of Identifiers, ROR, qui est je ne sais pas où, le DOAB et Open Citation, dont on a décidé que non seulement on les finançait pour le cycle de 3 ans de SCOS, mais dont on a décidé qu'on renouvellerait ensuite le financement, parce qu'on pensait qu'il ne fallait pas les financer une seule fois, mais les financer dans la durée. Voilà, cet ensemble de décisions politiques qui ont été prises par le comité de pilotage de la science ouverte ont coûté à la France 835 000 €. Et mon vœu, c'est que d'autres financeurs contribuent également. Si on répartit bien la charge de ces dépenses, elle sera faible. Si seulement 2 ou 3 ou 4 pays, et notamment les pays qui hébergent les projets, payent tout, effectivement, ça va devenir compliqué. Et notamment, il y aura un plafond de verre qui empêchera des projets d'atteindre un seuil critique mondial. Donc ça me semble important que ce projet SCOS soit soutenu et que les projets labellisés par la SCOS le soient. Cela dit, le comité de pilotage de la science ouverte a fait ses choix. Il n'a pas retenu 100% des projets labellisés par SCOS. Nous avons conservé notre libre arbitre et nous avons mené notre propre expertise. 2 dernières décisions de financement que je voulais vous partager, qui contribuent à la structuration du paysage diamant. D'abord, on soutient le développement et la création future, et on a déjà investi 240 000 € là-dedans, de la création d'une alliance des presses universitaires françaises impliquées dans l'édition en accès ouvert. On a besoin de fédérer les acteurs à tous les niveaux. Et au niveau national, on n'avait pas de club des presses universitaires publiques qui travaillent à la science ouverte, et donc pas de dispositif facile pour qu'elles échangent les bonnes pratiques, qu'elles gagnent rapidement en compétences, qu'elles identifient leurs besoins, etc. Donc on leur crée une maison commune Pour nous, au niveau national, ce n'est pas très cher et on pense que l'efficacité de ce dispositif sera majeure puisqu'ils vont se rencontrer entre eux, ils vont travailler, etc. Il y avait déjà des réseaux professionnels, donc des métiers, mais pas un réseau des institutions qui sont les presses universitaires. Je suppose que dans le dispositif Diamant qui aura lieu, ce groupe fera partie d'une des briques. Et puis la deuxième chose qu'on a décidé, c'est qu'on allait travailler sur un projet en faisant 500 000 € d'études pour voir comment on pouvait développer un service partagé de traduction des publications de la recherche, en s'appuyant sur l'intelligence artificielle, etc. Et au début de l'année prochaine, on rentrera les 4 rapports publics qui sont le produit de ces études de benchmarking des outils existants d'intelligence artificielle de traduction automatique, des bases d'apprentissage, des besoins des utilisateurs, etc., ce qui est quelque chose en fait essentiellement technique. Voilà, mais ça va augmenter et améliorer la visibilité et l'impact de l'édition Diamant et probablement d'une autre édition, ça nous ira tout aussi bien. Et donc, c'est des contributions françaises à une structuration du paysage. Ma dernière diapo consiste à essayer d'identifier avec vous quels sont les défis qui nous attendent encore, même en ayant fait tous ces efforts. Pour moi, on n'a pas du tout résolu le problème du passager clandestin. Donc, je pense qu'il faut qu'on accélère sur les financements croisés à la destination des infrastructures de la science verte. Pour le Fonds national pour la science verte, on a fonctionné par appel à projet. En réalité, l'édition est une activité régulière, récurrente. Il faut qu'on arrête, si on peut, il faut qu'on baisse l'activité appel à projet, qu'on augmente le financement récurrent des initiatives éditoriales. Ce n'est pas facile à faire, mais c'est notre projet. Il faut qu'on augmente la coordination entre les parties prenantes. Je suis très favorable à l'économie d'échelle, donc j'ai entendu l'idée que ce serait bien d'avoir une revue, une installation quelque part sur un serveur d'université. Je suis totalement opposé à cette idée, mais bon, je viens d'admettre qu'on ait des débats et qu'on ne soit pas tous d'accord. Je pense qu'on a besoin d'économies d'échelle qui vont augmenter le professionnalisme, qui vont augmenter la conservation, la visibilité, tout. Il faut qu'on augmente la visibilité des contenus et des marques que sont les revues et les plateformes. Et aussi, il faut qu'on augmente la crédibilité du Diamant, mais tout le monde l'a dit. Voilà. Et puis, en dernier point, je voudrais dire qu'on doit aussi encourager les petites maisons d'édition, publiques ou privées, qui sont toujours derrière des paywalls, qui sont encore avec des abonnements. Et il y en a beaucoup en Europe. On devrait arriver à les convaincre de ne pas aller vers un modèle de frais de publication, mais aller vers un modèle de type Diamant. Et donc, on pense qu'un modèle de type Subscribe to Open, tout bien considéré, est meilleur qu'un modèle avec frais de publication. Voilà, merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Marin. Well, there was a long list of challenges in front of us, I think. Maybe we go now with Martine. Halbert, you're a science advisor for public access at the National Science Foundation, the United States, and please.
I don't have any slides, and my comments will be fairly general and brief. Yeah. I'm very interested in the discussion and questions from the audience. My comments will be in English, but let me attempt a few words in Spanish in the way of thank you first. Hola, mis disculpas, no sé español, pero quiero agradecer a los organizadores de la conferencia en español. Muchas gracias por realizar este evento. Aplausos. Okay, enough of my bad Spanish. So I'm very pleased to be here to talk to you about policy development efforts to strengthen Diamond OA publishing options for scientific communication. Awareness and mobilization towards Diamond OA in the United States lags behind Latin America, Europe, and indeed most parts of the world. So it is advisable that U.S. agency officials such as myself attend conferences and events such as this to become better informed and to participate in the important foundational discussions going on to create and establish a new and more effective Diamond OA scientific publishing ecosystem that will benefit the research community more broadly. While the United States National Science Foundation is a well-known funding agency for scientific research, like all such public funding agencies, our funds are limited, and we must make responsible decisions concerning the allocation of public monies for science. The significant and continuing escalation of the costs associated with commercial scientific publishing conglomerates motivated by profit-making goals has not escaped the attention of U.S. federal research funding agencies. While U.S. agencies have long allowed what we widely refer to in a common sense way as reasonable costs to be charged against federal grants, the increasingly unreasonable cost that scientists are regularly encountering in publishing their findings arising from federal grants are now threatening the viability of our national funding programs. This realization necessitates the call for new models like Diamond OA, which address the problem of interjecting profit-making transactions into the workflow of scientific publishing, a problem which is now, as I've said, threatening the viability of the entire scientific research ecosystem. But addressing this problem is obviously not trivial and may entail many difficult policy decisions. These are the facts that have brought us together today for common purpose. But developing policies that can foster Diamond OA will be difficult, and I appreciate the opportunity to learn from others and explore possible opportunities for synergistic alignment of U.S. agency strategies with other national groups attending this event. Many here may have heard of the recent memorandum issued last year by the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy under then Acting Director Alondra Nelson, which has directed U.S. research funding agencies to implement requirements of zero embargo for peer-reviewed articles arising from federal awards, as well as data undergirding such articles. Because of the Nelson memo, all U.S. research funding agencies are now actively updating their policies, and it is an opportune time to seek alignment. At the U.S. NSF, over the last year, we have been holding frequent listening sessions to hear from the many scientific communities that we serve to better understand their perspectives on the implementation of zero embargo public access to articles and data. It is clear to us that the topic of commercial transactions, especially article processing charges, or APCs, is especially polarizing in these discussions. For-profit commercial scientific publishers and scientific societies that have based their operational revenue on such charges see this in existential terms, and it is difficult to have reasoned discussions with them about the larger macroeconomic effects of such mechanisms. But the obvious questions of equity and efficiency which are raised by extreme APCs nevertheless need to be addressed. So this is a moment of careful analysis and reflection for U.S. agencies. Whatever policy decisions that are made to implement the requirements of the Nelson Memorandum must be very carefully considered with the interests of all members of the research ecosystem taken into account, as well as existing laws and regulations. Having said this, there do seem to be strategies for policy development that can lead to improvements in the research ecosystem, and many of them would seem to benefit from greater adoption of Diamond OA publishing models. So let me just conclude these brief comments by saying that I look forward to our continued mutual exploration of these issues. This has been a wonderful day. I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of great conversations with many of you, and I look forward to the next few days. Thank you very much.
So, now Mr. Kazuhiro Hayashi, Director of Research Unit for Data Application in the National Institute of Science and Technology Policy, Japan. I think we really have a unique opportunity to go from Latin America and Caribbean to Asia, through Europe and United States. It's really great. I'm very honored, I would say, to moderate this session. So I'll please.
Thank you for your introduction. And hola, muchas gracias. That's all I can speak Spanish. Well, anyway, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great honor to be here to share our experience of open science and open access policy. Today, I would like to focus on Japan's open access policy based on our open science policy. And let me look back at these 2 decades or so. We started e-journals from 1995 or so, and XML publishing or any other sophisticated English EJ service were launched. And in the 20s, open access movement came, and it also come associated with research data sharing concept. And after COVID-19, we are going into the reopenness of science, such as citizen science or utilizing the blockchain world or any other virtual society or something like that. And I was computer geek, originally chemistry trained, but I literally experienced all of these experiences to move stakeholders forward towards the open science paradigm. And on the context of open access, I was a steering committee member of Spark Japan, and I was a committee member of the OASPA's annual meeting. So I really enjoyed to implement open science. And here is Japan's whole vision of the science technology policy. It's like Horizon Europe. It's called the Sixth Science Technology and Innovation Basic Plan from 2021 to 2025. So please take a look at the middle of the slogan, building a society 5.0 towards a sustainable society. Society 5.0 is a kind of a slogan, and it means a society ensuring the safety and the security of the people, or and a society that realizes of diverse happiness, well-being for each individual. And on that vision, we have 3 pillars of the strategy: innovation capability, research capability, and education and human resource development. Under the research capability, we clearly stated the promotion of open science and data-driven research and creating new research styles ultimately. And Japan hosted G7 summit at Hiroshima this May, and actually I was not expecting, but Hiroshima's leaders communique stated the promotion of open science in the end. And before that, in prior to the main summit, G7 Science and Technology Ministers meeting was held, and Open Science Working Group's communique was into it. And actually, Michael and Marin and I are the members of the Open Science Working Group members, and this is the output of the communique. And this is the latest slide of our open science and open access policy. It's very noisy, and the time is running out, so please take a look at this one. We will formulate a national policy to promote immediate open access to publicly funded scholarly publishing and scientific data underlying the publications for new application strategy fiscal year 2025 of the competitive research funds. So Japan is unique. We start to set the open research data sharing policy first. And afterwards, we are now about to set the open access mandate policy. And for implementing that support, we are aiming to support enhancing the ability to negotiate with academic publishers, and also enhance research DX platforms for managing utilizing research outputs, and also enhance the ability to researchers and the research community to disseminate their research outputs. by Japanese community. So, and this is that was the latest one. And first of all, I'd like to introduce Japan's state of scholarly publishing and open access in a nutshell. So Japan's Science and Technology Basic Plan I just introduced clearly promotes open science. And the bigger funding agencies such as Japan Science Technology Agency, Japan Society for Promotion of Science, or AMED, it's like a Japanese version of NIH, sets their OA policy. But it's not strict, soft recommendation. And so far, open access policy is mainly based on the green OA with institutional repository. We have over 800 institutional repository, but not excludes gold open access. Nevertheless, open access ratio is not so bad. Depending on the survey, our open access ratio exceeds 50% or so. And Japan, as I introduced just before, Japanese government has been keen on open science with research data sharing as a game changer for scholarly communication or innovation. And now open access mandate is going to set. And regarding the scholarly publishing in Japan, there are over 2,000 societies in Japan. They publish their own small number of journals. They couldn't take advantage of scale mates. That's a kind of a tragedy. But anyway, there is no big international commercial publisher in Japan. And many researchers publish their article on the society journal in Japan. But more likely, they wish to publish on higher impact journals outside Japan. That's a problem. And for small society publishers in Japan, Japan Science and Technology Agency provides an e-journal platform called JStage. JStage is I'd like to stress that JStage is a candidate potential of the Diamond Open Access Platform. It established in 1999, and take a look at the red characters. They already have over 3,000 titles. Article exceeds 5 million. And about 90% of journals are free to read. And most of readers and authors don't pay for reading EJ and publishing on EJ. So it seems that JStage is a big Diamond OA journals platform. They have a potential, they are candidate. However, as I introduced in the reality of the Japan's publishing situation, researchers want to publish on the journals they wish to publish. I was a chemist, so reality, how to make a brand on the Diamond OA journal is very crucial, I believe. So last one, I'm going back to the latest policy development of open access in Japan. Please see the red circle. We are promoting the collaboration with countries, regions, and international organizations to share values with Japan and establish a new system for evaluation. So as you all have discussed today or for these conferences, yeah, evaluation and education are key crucial point to implement open access and open science. And here is a chart of our open science platform in Japan. Today I introduced the left side of the JST platform. We have a journal platform JStage together with the JStage data. It's for the evidence data for the articles, and we also recently released the JCarve preprint server for disseminating the preprint. And it is associated with the right side hand of the NII Research Data Cloud. That is a research data management platform, also aiming for a research sharing data platform. And it is not free open as possible, as close as necessary, or aiming the fair data science. So this is the last slide. Okay, in 10 minutes, okay. We are going to have a reliable and practical phase transfer, let's say from the publisher page towards share or publish. So I'm a chemist, so I always use this analyze. Anyway, this chart for the phase transfer, we need a much more activation energy if we want to have a phase transfer. So we need an additive transformation for real implementation. Based on the past and the current established phase, we add many layers, try to add many layers to move forward. That will change the researcher's mind or the sector's mind to have extremely cultural change. So we still need a steady dialogue among stakeholders for behavioral change. That's why I'm willing to have here directly from Japan to Mexico to have a dialogue. Thank you for your listening.
I thank you very much. I think now we can take questions. Maybe I look at Lydia. How many times do we have? 30 minutes or for the questions or not? 15? 15? Well, okay, let's say 15. But I'm sure during the event and dinner we can discuss whether all this information and knowledge that we get. So, well, is there any question? Oh, yes, I can see there. Yeah, it's good.
Is that working?
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. This is a wonderful panel. I have a question for Martin in particular about the NSF listening tour that you've been doing, and what you've been hearing from the researchers about, how they feel about these journals and their APCs, and particularly how researcher loyalty to their publications of choice might affect NSF's policies in the future.
Yeah, great. Is this on? Great question. What we've done a number of listening sessions of different kinds. We are about to issue a survey RFI as well. We're very interested in lots of feedback. To answer your question, while the feedback that we've gotten has been wide-ranging, a lot of it, I will say, has been polarized. There are people that really hate APCs, are really opposed to them, really encouraging us to push back on them in what policy developments we do. Then on the other hand, like I mentioned, there are the commercial publishers and societies that have really based a lot of their revenue generation on those, and they really do see that any threats to APCs as existential threats, so they've reacted very strongly. Now, it's been very interesting to hear from younger researchers, junior in their career paths. We and NSF and a number of other federal agencies did a joint webinar with the AAAS a bit ago, and we especially were at pains to feature younger researchers in that, and I thought they had a really well-rounded perspective on it, calling out issues of equity in terms of junior career people. A lot of people early in their careers, if they even get an NSF award, it's a pretty small award, and a lot of the award would be taken up with APCs if they were to publish and try to use their fund that they got from NSF to cover it. So we're listening, and let me just say, we're trying very hard to take a balanced approach in how we respond. But if you saw the NSF Public Access 2.0 plan that we published in June of this year, you'll see that we really foregrounded issues of equity and concerns over that. So we're thinking very hard about what we can do to meet. We actually had an extensive internal study of equity issues and have been thinking very hard about what we're going to do to try to respond to those issues.
Thank you. Any other? Oh, yeah. 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 Please. Ah.
Yeah, Jadran Kastranovsky, University of Zadar, Croatia. So my question is actually for Marin, primarily because he mentioned that, which I really liked, that funds needs to be redistributed in favor of diamond open access publishing. So, and I will try to be as precise as possible in my question. So, do you expect in the near future that funders, which we are all aware that every project has publishing funds as a part of research projects, which is mostly used to pay APCs. So could we expect in the near future that these funds can be also redistributed to diamond publishers? And maybe Mikael can also add something on behalf of European Commission. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, very good questions. Thank you very much. Yes, we think that at the end, as publishing as a cost, whatever the option is, then we need to provide the money to pay the salaries of the people who are doing the job. And today, we are in a system which is, I don't know the English, j'ai répondu en anglais, oui, bon, c'est pas grave, with only one eye, which is APC. The other eye is not open. So we are blind for the diamond. In fact, we make a lot of diamond, but blindless, without helping them. So at the end, yes, the system should provide money, whatever the option is, APC or not APC. It's a bit complex to do it on an administrative, legal point of view. We have already published a report about this question, written by Didier Torny. We asked him different models that could be applied to diamond open access funding. He proposed 4 options. It's open in our website, Ouvrir la Science. I could share the information with you. The other way to answer to your question is that I'm not completely optimistic, to be honest, in the capacity of the world to change completely. But at least if in 1 decade we could have a system where €1 spent on APC equals €1 spent on non-APC, diamond journals, that would be great. That would provide a more balanced system. Today, it's 100% APC and the rest, the minuscule rest of it going to diamond, which is unrealistic, dangerous, fragile, and so on.
Thank you. Any other? Yeah. Oh, maybe Panu?
I don't want to take your role as a moderator, but if I may.
Of course, Michael,
also.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
please.
I think in terms of rebalancing, we have to look at the different initiatives that we are pushing forward in parallel. So indeed, open access scholarly publishing is one, but it's closely linked also to reforming research assessment. It's closely linked to opening up infrastructures. And that hopefully, not in a too long term, but in the short to mid term, will release funds which will allow us to rebalance towards projects like we have been funding for the first time in the first the part of Horizon Europe, like DMS Craft Away, Palomera. In terms of the provisions in our program, I don't see them changing. We had a big step going from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe. Really, open science was mainstreamed. For what concerns what we pay for publishing, of course, we leave the freedom for the researchers to publish wherever they like, but we made a statement saying that we are only going to reimburse costs that are used to publish in fully open access venues. And I don't see this changing for the future. Of course, these are small amounts compared to what we put into research projects. So it's not shifting from not paying in certain venues to supporting for projects, but in general, and I think this is also in the spirit of where we want the era to go, that we would be looking for more funds into research and development projects or innovation projects to support open access scholarly publishing, also at the institutional level. So it could be in terms of capacity building, could be in terms of technical interoperability or other forms of support.
Okay, thanks a lot, Michael, for this precision. So, Ben, yeah, it works. Oh, I'm sorry. So, well, ladies first, please.
Okay, Rebellious Melero from Spain, from the...
Oh, but it does not...
Oh, sí,
yeah,
¿no?
yeah.
Well, from the Spanish National Research Council. Voy a hablar en español. ¿Sí? ¿Ahora?
Yeah.
Ok. Bueno, todo lo que voy a decir es personal, no represento a mi institución, número uno. Yo quería hacer una observación. Cuando un autor está dispuesto, un investigador está dispuesto a pagar $11.000 por publicar en una revista del grupo Nature, no es porque su investigación crea que sea mejor, sino porque ese reconocimiento posterior, esa evaluación va a ser más alta. Entonces, mi propuesta es, hay agencias que financian investigación, ¿por qué no en las convocatorias añaden la palabra diamante? Con eso contribuiremos a la extinción de los dinosaurios APCs.
Well, maybe I could just answer because our president and CEO today already gave some ideas about that, saying that for the time being, yes, APCs are still eligible, but we are on the way not to pay for the APC and the projects we found. So yeah, please.
Thank you very much. You know, this question for Kazuhiro-san. We are working with Yasushi-san, who is director of JSTAYS. In fact, during its 20th anniversary in 2020, it had organized a big celebration. And in fact, I was one of the speakers to that one. In that one, JSTAYS had announced that it will be very soon, introducing a new workflow that was very much, close to Diamond Open Access. So I was wondering, if you have got any news on whether or not, this new workflow was introduced or not, and if it has, how it has been utilized to benefit, other developing countries in the region. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you for your great question. It's very good timing. And actually, JSTAYS is now going to develop a next stage, next development with next plan of the JSTAYS itself. And actually, I'm a committee member of the exploring the future of the JSTAYS, and we are discussing about the future design of JSTAYS. First of all, we are thinking about a digital native first publishing platform from preprint to the, not ignoring PDF or printing world, but we have to have a digital first workflow. First of all, let's say, maybe John's PKP OJS is one of the candidates to implement it. But anyway, we are seeking something like that at first. And after that, of course, we have to have an international compatibility or interoperability among not only the Asian countries, but also European, African, and all over the world. So we are kind of thinking of a kind of a scheme or interoperability set of something. You know, it's easy to say we can integrate the platform of country A, country B, country C, or something like that, but it's difficult basically in a political manner. So we have to seek a kind of interoperable layers to communicate each other on each of the platform. This is just my opinion, but anyway. So from Japan's situation, JStage governs the JST governs the JST platform, but each title is governed by each societies in Japan. So it's hard for JST to persuade all of 3,000 journals to move forward. It has a difference of the temperature or atmosphere to move forward. So that's why I have an opinion, something like that I just before introduced. So.
Okay, thank you. So I think, Jean-Claude, maybe we can take, maybe it's the last question. Okay. Jean-Claude,
I'll try
please.
Being brief. My question is really directed to Michael Arentoft. It's about ore. I'm worried about ore for a simple reason. When it was put together, it was, I think, contracted from Vitek, who proceeded to sell it really shortly afterwards to a private company. And I think you're working with a contract of 4 or 5 years. I don't exactly know the details, but we're getting fairly close to the end of this contract. And I was wondering how this might affect an initiative which, on the other hand, I thought was excellent on the part of the European Union, in other words, to become a publisher at the same time for its researchers. And at the same time, because of this example of Europe, I'd like to ask Martine Halbert, reacting to your concern about the young careers, could you not at NSF think about creating a platform of publication for the young researchers, which in terms of the evaluations at NSF would count as much as anything else?
Yeah. Maybe Michael, if you would like to. Oh, we don't hear you.
You know?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't touch anything. Yes, so indeed, we had a public procurement out in 2020. And it was F1000 who won the contract, and indeed later, shortly after, taken over by Taylor and Francis. So that was a 3-year contract until 24, and we issued another public procurement this year, which was not necessarily going to the same company, but had in the specifications the possibility to do a transfer to any new winner. Now, it happened to be the same one who got an extension of the contract, something we need to foresee now, because we would risk to have a gap in the service provided to our beneficiaries as of March, after March 24. What's important to note is that the contract is procuring services and is licensing the IT platform of the contractor. Part of the specifications, that both the previous, the current contract, but also the new contract, has an obligation to do a transit and handover, and also including the use rights, to us as the Commission. And of course, we have the intention to leave that completely open for whoever needs to take it over. I should also say that very soon we will be launching another procurement to procure an open source platform, so the underlying IT platform for any future entity operating a collective version of Aura. So I think from our side, we have seen this as a pilot, as walking the talk. Initially, we function as the publisher, if you like, building on the services of a private publisher. But our intention in the short to medium term is indeed to have it as a public good and to not continue to have the Commission procuring this, but indeed seeing as a collective enterprise, which of course would be in the hands of the research institutions or public funders.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, Martine, if you would like to add something?
Thank you for the suggestion. I'm taking careful notes at this event about all of the great developments, Redalyc, CLACSO, all of the great examples here. NSF has started funding significant programs in the area of open science. We started with last year the Pharos RCN program that let out 10 national collaborative projects to $14 million US to advance open science and fair data guiding principles. We now have just this year a number of new competitions that address various aspects of open science. So, but the one thing I would say is I wouldn't want to, we would want to be careful about disadvantaging younger researchers by making them go into one publishing platform where they couldn't, be on the same playing or same level playing field as senior researchers. So, but it's we're thinking very carefully about how to address the needs of younger researchers.
Well, I think we have to finish the session now. I would like really to warmly thank all of the invited speakers. I think we had really a very interesting day, and it's not finished. Lydia, I think, yes, now we have 8. Okay, dinner, okay. And Michael, it's quite late here, but I know it's even later in Brussels, so maybe thanks a lot for having stayed with us, and I thank you very much. Okay, this is them.